About 83% of you guys are not subscribed. Subscribing, clicking that like button, and commenting all help me out a lot in doing what I really want to do. Thank you guys so much for all your support. What's going on, guys? Rogue TCG here bringing another Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG deck profile. This is Orcust. Orcust once more. You guys voted, and here I am providing. Here's Orcust again. There is just a couple small updates. I did decide to at least display the Diabellestar version, or what it would be. I am planning on potentially buying it in paper, so you guys might see in-person profiles for it as well as live duels perhaps. However, that may just be in the future and it's just an idea on the table. This deck is quite strong. It can play 12 hand traps, so it can fit pretty nicely into the format. We are on 45 cards just to fit all the non-engine and engine in there, as well as a part of my own personal deck philosophy. I'm going to just spout it right here. I think if you are playing cards in your deck that you do not want to be drawing, as in they are like garnets or they're bricks and such, put in more than 40 cards, because if you run 40 exact, the chance of you drawing that one of card is the highest. If you put other cards you would like to draw instead in there, and it works out, like you would have put those cards in anyway, just go over 40. Just go over 40. Like, I'm being for real. Like, maybe the math doesn't work out, but in my heart it works out. Take that as a joke or take that seriously as you want. That's just personally what I like doing, just because I like having fun in my lists. I like not necessarily constricting myself to an arbitrary deck requirement, and I like just playing the cards I like playing. And if they do well for me, they do well for me. If they don't do well for you, I'm sorry. But that's way too much yapping for the start of the video. Let's get into the profile. Starting us off, we got triple gears to the Orcust Mech Knight. When it's normal or special, you can dump an Orcust or a World Legacy. And then if you have no other monsters in the field, on an Ignition, you can make a 1 token for each opponent and yourself. So each person will get a level 1 token. And it has an effect to make itself a tuner if there's a bunch of stuff in the same column. Not really relevant for the most part. However, theoretically, you could make the Despian Lulu Willilith with Girsu, as well as with Cartesia, but you know. Next, we are on Double Orcust Nightmare. It's the main card we're going to be sending to the graveyard with Grand Guganol. It lets you dump any Orcust in your grave by targeting a monster on field and making it gain attack equal to like the Dark Machine that you send from your deck to the grave. Which is quite nice because now that Harp is unbanned, if we have Nightmare in Graveyard, it's a 1-card full Orcust engine. We are on Double Symbol Skeleton in order to be able to recur our stuff. All of our Orcust, their graveyard effects will all Dark Lock us. So we do have a couple plays that we do want to prefer to make before we get Dark Locked, and I'll be going over them as we see them. But Symbol Skeleton can bring back an Orcust from the graveyard, and it is very powerful for doing so. It's also an Orcust you can normal summon, which is something to keep in mind. I already mentioned Harp Horror. You can banish this card from your grave to summon an Orcust from your deck, except for itself. Good thing we're never going to be special summoning itself, because it's at 1, and even if it wasn't at 1, we would never even think of that. Because if we can summon a Girsu off of it, then we can send something else and get a Orcust monster on field. Like, we're going +1 in that interaction, which is quite nice. We are on 1 Orcust Brass Bombard, really warmed up to me. Level 1 monster in the Linkuriboh format for the most part. It's technically a starter. If you have this and any other Orcust in your hand, you can normal summon this, make a Linkuriboh, banish it, to special summon the Orcust, make a Galatea. In worst comes to worst, the Galatea can just put back the banished Brass Bombard to set a crescendo, and that's 1 interaction right there. Like, you can send it to the grave in order to get an Orcust that's stranded in your hand out of your hand. Like, let's say you open both Symbol Skeletons and a Girsu. You can go normal summon Girsu, Girsu send Brass Bombard, Girsu make a token, make Linkuriboh, make Galatea, Brass Bombard, special summon whatever's in your hand, keep going on and on. Like, Brass Bombard really opens up a lot of combo lines, and it's not necessarily a card you don't want to see in your hand. Like, it's a card that's alright to see. We are on 1 World Legacy World Wand. It's technically on Orcust, but it's a Dark Machine, so we can send it to the graveyard with Orcust Nightmare. It's a World Legacy, so we can send it off of Girsu. and it's a level 8 dark, so we can send to the grave off of Greg Guggenal. So this card is really easy to get in grave, so that's why we're only playing one. Normal summon effect, not relevant. If this card is sent to the grave, not relevant. You can banish this card from your grave, is relevant. Target one of your banished Orcust monsters, special summon it, and you can't special summon for the rest of the turn except for darks. So same Orcust lock, except it's not an Orcust. Thing is, this lets you get back your banished resources and not just your leveled monsters and stuff. You can get back a Girsu, a Dingirsu, a Galatea, a Long Girsu, whatever. If you have it banished, you can get it back, which is quite nice. Now for our Orcust spells and traps, we're on 1 Babble. This is the main thing we want to be setting off of Galatea, being able to make our Orcust quick effect, and it can recur itself from the graveyard. Main thing is we really don't want this to get Cosmic Cycloned, but most of the time we can't really control that since it's non-destruction removal. We're on 1 Orchestrated Return. We're on 10 different targets off of this, so we are going to play at least one of it. If we open Babble and Crescendo and we can manage to get to Galatea, we can set this off of it, so it's just a third spell we can always have access to, and it's not a bad card to have in the deck because it just increases consistency. We're on 1 Crescendo, and another consistency increaser because you can banish it from your graveyard in order to search for a Dark Machine, except you can't special summon the turn you activate that effect except for Dark Machines, which is pretty restrictive. However, since it's a trap, you can use it on your opponent's effect where turn, where the only cards you would be really summoning are Dark Machines. And otherwise, it's just a counter trap, which is better because it also banishes the card it negates, which is nice. That's it for our Orcust. Now into our Cartesia engine. We're on triple Blazing Cartesia. You can fuse on a quickie. And if in the end of the turn, if the fusion monster was sent to the graveyard, you can add it from your add Cartesia from your grave to your hand. So it's a starter that can come back to your hand more times than not, because in the basic combo, you're going to end up putting the fusion in the grave anyway. So more than likely it's going to be added to your hand. We played 2 of the fusion starters, so if we add our starter back to our hand at the end of the combo, think about it for a moment. Isn't that kind of the same thing that Fire King does with their like Ponyx just over the course of 2 turns, except we were doing it immediately, so we can use it as discard fodder for something like Forbidden Droplet or something like that, which is quite nice. So we are playing 3 of it. We're also playing 3 of the Searcher, Branded in High Spirits. There's a reason this works. Branded in High Spirits can reveal any of our Orcusts, send a Sprind the Iron Dash Dragon, which is a machine, to search Cartesia, which is quite nice. Yeah. And it does also have the same graveyard effect to add back to hand, except you can't use that effect the turn you activated the Branded in High Spirits, so more times than not, you're not really going to add it back to your hand, unless you pitched it for something or you milled it. We are on 1 Bystial Lubellion as well as 1 Bystial Magnamut, so cut back on the Bystial engine quite a bit, as well as the 1 Branded Regained. The whole reason to play this is for the Branded Regained because it's such an incredibly strong card in Orcust, and the ability to search it is just unprecedented. Magnamut, it's also very powerful, being able to search your Lubellion, but also being able to search a card that's going to be coming up. However, we are siding 2 more Bystials. So the Magnamut's here mostly just to search, again, the Lubellion as well as the other dragon, which we can do if we're going first. We can search the other dragon to really insulate ourselves, which is quite nice. But that's it for our Bystials. Now on to our Diabellstar stuff. We're on 2 Diabellstar the Black Witch. You can special summon this card from your hand by sending 1 card from your hand or field to the grave. You can only special summon Diabellstar once per turn this way. You can use each of the following effects of Diabellstar once per turn. If it's a normal or special summon, you can set 1 Sinful Spoils spell trap directly from your deck. During your opponent's turn, if this card is sent from the hand or field to the grave, you can send 1 card from your hand or field to the grave, and if you do, special summon this card. The first effect of Special Summon itself really works well with our Orcust, works well with our Branded in High Spirits, because sometimes our High Spirits just isn't going to be live. We're already going to have the Cartesia, so we're not going to want to use it. So we need to do something with the Branded in High Spirits. So the Diabellstar can fix that issue. It's a free body, which can fix one of the issues where if we get interacted on like our normal summon, like Cartesia or Girsu, if like they use Imperm on Girsu, we kind of fold unless we have an extender. But Diabellstar can amend that somewhat because it can go bring itself on field functionally for free by pitching a card, and then you can make a Galatea, and depending on what you pitched, you might be able to keep extending. And lastly, one of the cards that we are now including in this list, Jet Synchron, is a level 1 fire. which is also functionally the same as Brass Bombard. We can normal summon Jet Synchron, make a Link Karibo, pitch any card from our hand, ideally an Orcust, to special summon itself from your grave to your field, and then you can make an SP Little Knight. Yeah, you can make an SP Little Knight off of that. If we were playing Dark, the Dark Charmer Gloomy, we could also theoretically make that. But more than likely, more than not, rather, this is a card to pitch an Orcust from our hand. So that's why Snake Eye is in here. Diabellstar is also the perfect card for Branded in High Spirits. It's a dark spellcaster, so you can send Lulu with Lilith, as well as being able to be used as fusion material to make the Grand Guganol. So it can both not Lulu will Lilith. You can send a Grand Guganol to search your Cartesia. I apologize for that. Only fusions for High Spirits, but it is usable by the Cartesia engine at all points, both to search Cartesia and to fuse with Cartesia, which is quite important. Jet Synchron, not quite as much. Jet Synchron can be used to search Cartesia, but can't be used to fuse it. And the one Snake Eye, of course, this is also a card to prevent us from, to mitigate interaction on our Girsu and stuff like that. If they imperm our Girsu, on resolution, we can go Snake Eye, and then we can send the Girsu to get a Jet Synchron, and ideally, like maybe get a Symbol Skeleton engraved to special summon the Girsu back, so we can make a Galatea, and then we can set a crescendo by putting back the banished Symbol Skeleton, and at least try and salvage what we can do. Next, for our non-engine, we are on one Jizikiri, the Star Destroying Kaiju. I'm a really big fan of this card, to be honest. After playtesting a little bit at least on stream and Master Duel, I am a big fan of it. It actually really does shut down the plays of the Fire King Snake Eye deck. If you throw a big ass Jizzy coming on top of their Amblo Whale with Princess engraved, they're really gonna have to find another way to get Princess on field, and most of the time that isn't gonna be pretty. We are on the other dragon that we can search with our Bystial Magnamut, double Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. With all these decks making all these like links and stuff, I am gonna be playing Phantasme in this upcoming format, at least in the main at 2. Because it's searchable with Magnamut, as well as protects my board from SP Little Knight, because SP Little Knight targets, and it can fix my hand in a deck that is a little bit bricky, to be quite frank, just because of the fact that it's Orcust. It's a little bit bricky, but Phantasme can help that fact. It is a dragon, so it's not a target to search Cartesia, but it is dark, so we can use diffuse into Grand Guganol. We're on Triple Droll and Lockbird, format Superstar. It is a spellcaster, so we can search Cartesia, but we can't fuse because it's a wind. We're on Effect Veiler. We can search and fuse with it because it's a spellcaster and a light. And we're on Triple Infinite Impermanence, just because it's a good card. And it works under Shifter, which is nice, unlike Veiler and Droll. Like, Droll and Veiler go out when Shifter comes into play. The cards that come in are actually Druistorm and Baldric, funny enough, and any other cards depending on the matchup. But Druistorm and Baldric are quite good because they let you play around Shifter to a degree. If you get shifted, you can like, let's say on normal summon Girsu, you get shifted, so you just like banish whatever. You can then go any Bystial, banish their dimensional shifter because it's a dark monster, to make a Galatea to put back either your Girsu or whatever you decided to send off of your Girsu or whatever Orcust card you have, and then you can set a crescendo, and depending on what Bystial you had, you might be able to get a bonus effect. Like if you get a Magnamut end phase of the turn, you can grab a Phantasme, depending on how good you might think it is, depending on what your opponent's playing. Lastly, we're on one Foolish Burial, one Call by the Grave, triple Book of Moon, and double Forbidden Droplet. Droplet being really, really good in this deck, being able to pitch your Orcust, your unused Branded and High Spirits, your Crescendos, just all these cards that you want in grave or you don't necessarily want in hand. The Book of Moon is also very powerful as interaction on your opponents. Flipping down the Snake Eye, the Snake Eye Ash is a really powerful play because you can't use the effect to get Flamberge anymore. It's not a level 1 anymore, so you can't make Link Karibo, which means for Poplar, you're only going to be able to make a Linkuriboh and send it to grave, and you're not going to have a fire on field anymore at that point. So if you book the Snash, it might do good things. I can't guarantee anything, of course, because this format is a health format, but, you know, we can try. That's it for the main. 45 cards. Cards I might consider cutting would be like maybe Jizukiru. Maybe like the Bystial Magnamut and the Lubellion. I don't think I'd cut Regained just because Regained is so crazy good. And if I do like cut the Bystials, I'd put them in the side instead. But that's not the app about the main. Now onto our extra deck. We're on 1 Linkuriboh, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 SP Little Knight, double Galatea, the Orcust Automaton, being able to set cards from your deck and get them around Droll. This deck also doesn't really lose to Droll like at all. We have 2 cards that can search / draw, 3 if we're talking about like that one. We have Branded and High Spirits, Orchestrated Return, Orcus Crescendo, and then like the sort of Branded Regained. I mean, technically Phantasme does too, but this is like all we're running that do anything of the like, and like we can do Branded and High Spirits in our draw phase. Like Orcus Return if they Droll after we Orcus Return, we look at them and we say, all right, like because we weren't going to be doing any more after that. So Galatea being able to set, very similar to Diabellestar, where it just gets around that. And also, if you're playing against this deck or you're playing with this deck, always remember, your Galatea most of the time can't be destroyed by battle as long as you play smart. If you play with your Galatea smartly, you can survive a lot. 1 Nightmare Unicorn, we're playing this even though we have SP Little Knight because we can pitch a lot of these cards. We can make it off of IP if we've already used SP or we want to maintain it in our extra. So we're only on 1 because I only have the money for 1. We are on 1 Longirsu, just functioning as another copy of Dingirsu, doing his best impression. 1 Borlo Dragon, being able to get around a lot of problematic cards this format. Double Dingirsu, because 2 is better than 1. 1 Typhon Sky Crisis, it's a dark, so we can summon it even under our Dark Lock. 1 Despian Lulu Willilith, because we can special it off of Grag when Grag is on field or engraved, making Grag another point of interaction which our opponent doesn't know is live or not. We are on 1 Sprint, as I mentioned, just as a card to send to grave for our machines. And we're on double Grag, so we can potentially send a spellcaster to search our Cartesia and then also fuse another one. Or if we go the machine route, we can, over the course of 2 turns, we can make 2 different Grags, like hard make them. So that's it for our main and extra. Now onto our side. Again, side's going to be completely subjective based on your local metagame. We're on 1 Geoswarm and 1 Baldrake. No Saronir, because I think Baldrake is better. We're on double Nibiru the Primal Being. It's a light, so we can fuse it off. We're on double DD Crow. These could definitely be replaced by like Skullmeister or something like that. I just like DD Crow because it's a level 1 monster, so you can make Linkuriboh with it. You can special summon, you can normal summon DD Crow, you can special Linkuriboh from your grave, stuff like that, but Skullmeister is completely valid. We are on triple evenly matched for Lab. We are on our 3rd droplet in our side deck. Double Twin Twisters, again for Lab, but also because Twin Twisters works really well as going first interaction against the Fire King deck because their continuous spell needs to resolve. So if you pop it before it resolves, then they don't get jack shit. So we do run double Twin Twisters and triple Anti-Spell Fragrance, the dickhead card of the format. I'm not going to say we don't lose to Anti-Spell Fragrance because it really hinders us a lot. Like, it turns off our Branded High Spirits, our original Snake Eye. Like, it turns off a good portion of our deck, but it's not the degree of our deck comparative to other decks in the format that's being turned off. Since we are running a lot of monsters, let's do the Forbidden Act and click sort and see how many monsters we're running. 27. 27 monsters, 14 spells, 4 traps. Not 14 traps, 4 traps. So we are running quite a bit of monsters, so we're not super scared of Anti-Spell Fragrance on our part, because once we set our cards, like, we're good. Once we have Babble up, we're good. So that's the main thing. But this deck profile has gone on for a little while. Thank you guys for staying tuned in, if you still are, and I'll be seeing y'all next time. Bye bye! Thank y'all so much for watching the video, it really means a lot. If you want to talk to other Yu-Gi-Oh players in a competitive manner, please feel free to check out my Discord. We are still growing, but we would love to have you, and we plan to do some events sometime soon. You'll also be able to do cool stuff like vote on future videos and topics of videos, so swing by sometime and check us out. I also started a Patreon, so that'll be linked in the description of my videos from now on. Donating would mean a lot and would help in producing these videos. Right now, there's only one tier, being Tier 1 Femboy. This tier includes access to an exclusive Discord channel where you'll be able to talk amongst other femboys and have access to discussions with me as well as getting a shout out in every video following your patronage. Thank you so much for all your support.